welcome back, everybody, to Bar Talk, the beverage and spirits podcast from the Relief and Resource Company in Fenton, Michigan. I'm your host, John Foley, and with me, as always, Courtney Booms, Mark Miller.
Hello.
And we'd like to thank, before we begin, as always, iLogic Media, our production partner, and Jonathan Cole, who helps edit and ready these podcast episodes for your consumption. They always do such a great job. So if you haven't checked out their content, please do so. And today we're definitely going to focus on the beverage portion of our title, not just the spirits portions, because it is late September, which means it is smack in the middle of Octoberfest season. And the three of us are all big fans of beer as well as we are spirits. And we're also big fans of the Octoberfest style. So we are going to blind taste 10 different Oktoberfests from North America and from Germany. We're going to kind of reveal them as we go along. We're going to give you some tasting notes, and hopefully this show can serve as a guide for you going out and shopping and getting some good six-packs or cans of fantastic Oktoberfest. These are great beers for outdoor grilling. They're great beers for tailgates. They're generally low ABV, so they're great beers for, having a couple pints on your deck or wherever you're going to be. But it's a cool style that I don't think we pay nearly as much attention to in the beer world as we should. And as this podcast go along, we do focus on beer from time to time, you'll probably hear us champion traditional and lower ABV styles, because how many pastry stouts or double IPAs can you really drink and remain a functional person?
It is the middle of the harvest season. You can't be out there shucking all that wheat and then fall over.
I didn't shuck any of my wheat this weekend. And it was your birthday over the weekend, so I know you didn't shuck any wheat.
I did no shucking of any sort.
You didn't shuck any wheat?
No.
Not this time.
Our wheat remains unshucked. And I have to admit that I feel a little unprepared for this podcast. And it's as if I want to give you an overview of Oktoberfest, but who possibly could have done all the work to give you a short historical perspective on Oktoberfest styles? Is it you?
No, it's certainly not, I don't think.
There we go.
Hey, what's up? It's me, Courtney.
Beverage historian.
So not only am I wearing a folksy traditional dirndl, which would be the kind of female equivalent of the lederhosen, which a lot of people have maybe associated already with Oktoberfest.
Mine are in the shop. If you're watching, that's why I'm not wearing them. I blew them out over the weekend. It was a rough weekend. There was a lot of activity.
So I actually have a little bit of German heritage in my family. So we most of my cousins, people I know, have these, and we're from the Bavarian region of Germany where Oktoberfest originated. So it started in Munich. The very first one was on October the 12th, 1810, and it was in celebration of Crown Prince Ludwig I and his wife would become Princess Therese Saxon-Hildburghausen of Saxony. And their marriage started a 5-day festival. So they had the wedding and then 5 days of festivities. And it would be summed up with a horse race, which was super popular in the beginning, but actually is no longer celebrated as part of the general fair. It happened in the town center on a field named after the princess. So Theresienwiese, usually just called Wiesen now. And after the first year, it was the royals kind of foot the bill. And then after that, the state.
What was it called? I'm sorry.
The
Wiesen?
Field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'd be
wheat.
Theresienwiese. Therese's field.
Okay.
Or green.
Okay.
And then so it was first footed the bill by the royals, and then the years after that, it was footed by the state agricultural fair or the Landwirtschaftliche Verein in Bern.
Say what now?
Yeah.
It was the agricultural group, Mark.
Yeah, so they would basically just be celebrating German agriculture. It would have been a fairly agricultural society for many years.
Generally still seen as a celebration of the harvest.
Exactly.
Of
it's
the
a harvest
years,
festival.
Yeah, of the season's bounty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're familiar with kind of like Celtic cultures, which is another thing that I'm very, very into, it'd be Lunasa, right? The autumn harvest, basically. Yeah. So at first it would be celebrating that, and then years would go on. In 1818, the first carousel was installed. The year after that, you started getting booths for food and beer stalls, right? And let's see, after a longer period of time, it's the 1870s when you'd get like huge carousels and fair, like fun fair games. those booths turned into like plywood halls. So they would do like portable, quickly erected beer halls. Music became super popular. So all these beer halls would get fitted with things like balconies and stages. And as time goes on, instead of the agricultural society footing the bill, you'd actually get the local breweries fitting the bill, and then each brewery would have their own beer hall.
Yeah.
Set up still in the heart of Munich.
How much of this do you give credit for starting the German beer hall tradition? Is this the major player, or is this stuff already here?
They kind of evolved together, I would
Okay.
say. So Munich, being just the biggest city in Germany, I think still today, they would have had beer halls in town.
Mhm.
There's like famous beer halls that a lot of people know, the Hofbrau, or Hofbrei, I think is the German pronunciation. And the historic beer hall Putsch, of course, was in Munich as well. That's no longer a beer hall; it's now a movie theater. But yeah, today breweries still erect these structures. Some of them have seating for upwards of 6,000 people. It's a 2-week festival, so it starts in mid to late September, and it always ends either the first Saturday in October or October 3rd, whichever one is later.
So addressing a
So
common
it's
misconception about
2
these
weeks.
beers, they are a celebration of the harvest of the season. Oktoberfest is actually in September,
Right. Yeah, that's
which is why you see these beers in America come out from regional breweries end of August, early September.
Mhm.
So you can really get them all month long.
And that starts off with the style of beer that would be brewed. So the traditional Oktoberfest beer is a Marzen. And Marzen is actually March, German for March, the month of March, where the beer would first start its brewing process.
Mhm.
And then it'd be like lagered or barreled for almost the entire summer. And then it'd usually be ready around mid to late September. And that's why they would serve it at Oktoberfest. It's the beer that was literally ready in that season, that time of the day.
Opposite from, say, Saison, which would be brewed in the fall
Exactly.
and then rested over the winter for spring release.
Exactly.
Yeah, and Box would be the same thing. Like people are going to start brewing Box now.
Yeah. And then it'll be ready and released kind of late
Lenten,
winter, early.
yeah.
Yeah.
If we can pull together enough Doppelbock, we'll do another one of these in February, because we all also really like
Yeah.
Doppelbock.
How's that?
Yeah. So I had a bet that you were going to use Rahenskabut in a sentence,
Oh,
but you didn't do it. But
Oh,
do
my bad.
you want to throw that word out and let people know what Rahenskabut means?
Frankenmuth. So I know it as Gemütlichkeit.
The purity law.
Oh, no. Okay, that's something different. So Gemütlichkeit is the reason why they did the beer hall kind of festivities. It's the sense of cordiality that Germans have with each other, like a sense
Now
of
I know a new
comradeship.
word, and the word I probably
So-
mispronounced, Reinskabut, is the German purity law, which states that beer in Germany must be made with literally 4 ingredients: hops, malt, water, and yeast. So there's no adulteration beyond the classic ingredients in any of the beers that we're about to drink, because to be an Oktoberfest, you kind of have to do that.
Yeah, and Oktoberfest beers are super malty. They have a light hoppy crispness usually to the very end,
Yeah.
right near the end of the drink.
But we might not see all dark malt. That's a lot of people always think Oktoberfest are dark amber. When you're going to see lots lighter beers, and we'll probably see quite a few of those today. I went out and foraged for these beers. We have 10 different ones, and I know what they are, but I don't know when we're going to taste each one. So we have some support staff assisting us today, and we're going to receive each beer anonymously. We're going to taste it and kind of talk about it, and then we'll reveal which one it is as we go along. And then at the end, we'll kind of give you just our favorites, and maybe that'll provide you with some items for your shopping list.
So are we ready for round one?
Let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to drink some beer.
Let's get into it.
Yeah, go for it.
Pour it up.
Have to work later, so my pours can be a little smaller.
Yes.
Did you know that over 6 million guests attend Oktoberfest each year on average, and they drink over 2 billion?
6 million?
6 million guests, 2 billion gallons of beer.
These are
So
guests
during
who,
this 2-week
who
period.
just in Munich. Those are Munich numbers.
Yeah, that's just Munich's numbers.
Good for them.
Plus
Mostly
that down now.
Australians, Americans, and Italians if they're not Germans.
Yeah, Northern Italy has a lot of German culture overlap. Yep.
Yes.
Fruity on the nose.
Mm.
Yeah, and fruit forward on the front palate too. So this is a bright beer. Really doesn't linger too much on the finish. I get a lot of like kind of bright yeastiness and a little bit of sweetness on the finish too, which
Yeah.
would lead me to believe that this may be one of the European ones.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
That like toasted biscuit flavor is lingering on your palate after you take your first sip.
Yeah, and like we discussed the other day, German Oktoberfest generally are much lighter in body and mouthfeel, I feel like, than American style
Yeah.
Oktoberfest, you know?
Mhm.
We tend to inject a little bit more hoppiness into ours too. And I think that's just a way to appease the American palate, where in Germany you would see the use of noble hops, or you would see hops that are there for, like, say, the original reason for adding hops to beer, not necessarily bitterness, but preservation, floral, yeah. So you won't necessarily taste bitterness in a lot of German ones. This one I would give pretty high marks, but I do like really traditional Oktoberfest.
Yeah, and there's also kind of like, as I'm sipping it and smelling it at the same time, I would have to bet that there's the malt that they're using, I could also see going into like a Bock or a Doppelbock or something like that.
Which are dark beers, but not necessarily always super dark, and never roasted malt. We actually cracked a Paulaner Salvatore the other day, which is an amazing beer. I think there's still a law in place that, we'll revisit this hopefully in February. There's a law in place that still states that Doppelbocks have to be 6.7% or above.
Yeah, they're a higher gravity beer on average.
Good for them. Like,
Yeah.
Germany literally has a law that says, no, come on, don't make any weak ass Doppelbock. Give me the real thing, or
Full margin,
get your punk
nothing.
ass back to the
Yeah.
dog show.
But is that kind of like, it's that kind of like grapey, like grape juice kind of thing I get from it that I get in the box as well.
It's funny because I get
Mhm.
banana peels,
Banana peels,
and
yeah.
I think that's the same thing that we're both going for, but
Yeah.
it's just our two palates separating that.
Carbonation is really well integrated too. It's not overly carbonated. But I will also beer for being undercarbonated too. So
This is true.
I'm really picky about carbonation in beer.
Actually, I like an undercarbonated beer.
Unless I'm drinking Belgians or Hefeweizen. Those I want pretty bubbly. All right, excellent. Well, it's a great start. I like that one a lot. Oh, and here we go.
Good job, Frankenmuth Brewery.
Wow, look at
Frankenmuth
that.
Breweries.
So this is
Octoberfest.
interesting because this is the most this for the most part in our area is the most German brewery, aside from Brewery Becker in Brighton, Michigan. So we operate out of Fenton. We're in between pretty much Frankenmuth and Brighton. I went to Becker on Sunday to get some of their Oktoberfest. They launched their Oktoberfest celebrations on Thursday. I went there on a Sunday and it was already gone. So this is Frankenmuth Brewing Company, and they're a very, very German little town. A lot of their tourist industry is predicated on German culture and German celebrations, and they put this Oktoberfest out every year. And now I had this probably 10 years ago, and it was not nearly this good.
Development.
So this is
over time,
already
yeah.
a really nice surprise.
Yeah, I liked it.
I do too.
Frankenmuth has one of the largest population of Germans in Michigan. Michigan actually has quite a few Germans. Most of ours are up north.
Yes.
Yeah. Just fun facts. Thank you.
Number 2.
That's my Whiskey Club membership number.
Is it really?
Yes, it is. Only beaten out by one man.
Is it Robert?
He knows who he is. Yes.
She
Coming for
wasn't
you,
going
Robert.
to say it, but
Oh, this one already smells vastly
Yeah, and we're
different.
about 3 shades lighter.
Yeah,
two.
super light. Much more carbonation, it seems. As well.
Yeah, and a whole lot more malt on the nose. Not nearly the fruit that we found on the
Mhm.
on the Frankenmuth.
very roasty on the nose. Interesting.
So in Germany, their beers are often brewed lighter than what we might expect. So I think some people expect the Marzens or the Oktoberfest style beers to be almost like an amber shade. They're usually a color difference between about a lager and an amber. So like
Yeah, you can see them
Yeah.
go pretty light.
Mm-hmm. So this is making me wonder if this is actually our first European.
Maybe a slight bit more hops than in the first one, but not by much at all.
Just that very back end, I feel.
Yeah.
But not bitter hops. Again,
No.
This has a real, to me, it has a real noble hop
Absolutely.
taste profile where they're more floral and more grassy.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that
There are
first-
5 noble hops that are used in beer, and they're seen as the most traditional. I can't name them all though. Saz, Tetnagar, Goldings maybe. There's another one that I cannot pronounce, and I don't know if English Fuggles are there too, but there's a group of 5 that are the most traditional hop varietals. I used to know them, but my beer conversation isn't as in depth as it used to be, since we deal mostly with spirits now. But this is lovely. I mean, I wouldn't put this any further away from the Frankenmuth, except I might give it a notch above.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, this is a really
For
great.
reference, like I'm kind of ranking them as we go. The Frankenmuth, I obviously was the first, so I started at 5 from 1 to 10.
Oh, okay.
This one I'm going to give it a 6.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to give anything under a 5 or a 4, because that would mean I just don't want it.
Yeah,
And hopefully there's nothing here like that. Okay,
You'd pick it up, but you wouldn't.
so we need to find out, what is this one?
What is it?
Oh,
Hey,
Bells
A Michigan classic, yeah.
yeah.
I'm not surprised I like this at all, because this is Bell's always puts this out. They do a great job. Everybody listening to this podcast probably knows what Bell's is. Michigan's biggest and oldest brewery.
Yeah,
Too hard
and it's
to
interesting too
override.
because when I
think
first
we did
tasted
something
this,
there.
my brain thought, to me, this definitely tastes like more of kind of like an American style
Yeah.
Octoberfest.
Yeah.
Which it is. So
Yep.
I know you and I are
Absolutely.
big fans of this beer.
I am. Yeah,
specifically.
I love this beer, and they are no strangers to doing really good German style beer. They just don't do a lot of it, but they do a good Bohemian Pilsner, which I think is how they
Ooh,
label
yeah.
Lager of the Lakes
Lager of
now.
the Lakes, yeah.
And they have Consecrator Doppelbock, right? Is it Consecrator?
I believe so, yeah.
Bell's Doppelbock, which is really hard to find, is an amazing beer. So when they dip their toes into traditional styles, specifically English and German styles, they always knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Excellent job, Bells.
Yeah.
Well done.
And there are still like end aisle cap towers of this around. Like you can get this, but you probably have to get it quick
Yeah,
because it'll be running out.
Yeah, because I first saw it probably maybe like 3 to 4 weeks ago. So, yeah.
So this one, I want to say that there was a little bit more cloudiness to the other two, and this is pretty clear. Número 3.
Very clean. Yeah.
It's not bad. It's
Excuse me.
it's all right. It's much closer to like a Pils. That
Absolutely,
cleanness as well.
Yeah, I
It's not my
wonder.
style of beer, so I'm not as into this one so far versus the other two.
Yeah, I think the hoppiness is there a little bit more,
I think that's really it,
and
too.
the finish is much less complex than the other two.
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily make it bad. It's just I think I expect more creaminess from like I look for a very creamy malty beer when I'm going personally for an Oktoberfest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I personally would like a little bit more malt to it.
Yeah. It's good. It'd be it seems like it's gonna be an easy day drinker for almost anything.
And interestingly, our lovely assistant over there, Cynthia, is doing these in order of ABV.
Yes,
So this is
So far.
technically higher ABV than
the other two.
Bell's or Frankenmuth, which is interesting to me because it doesn't drink like it.
No.
No, it doesn't taste like it at all.
What is it?
Oh, it's the third Michigan one in a row.
Ah, excellent. Old Nation.
Old Nation Oktoberfest. Ooh, if she's going in order ABV, it means Michigan's on the low end
On
of
the
the
low
scale
end.
so far.
Yeah.
Ooh, Michigan, what you doing?
I didn't look at the ABVs when I bought them, and I kind of just assumed that we'd start with all the German ones because I thought they would be lower.
This is why lovely Cynthia had to be our assistant. She just likes blowing us out.
She's going to keep it. Yeah, she's going to keep us organized too. So Old Nation, for those who don't know, most of you know M43, which is their most famous beer, which is a hazy IPA.
Mhm.
I was delighted to learn that they did an Oktoberfest, and I do really like it. But in the blind, I like it less than
Less.
Bell's.
Less
Yeah,
than the
And
others,
I
yeah.
think it's on par, if not a slight bit lower than Frankenmuth,
I think so.
which
yeah.
is really interesting because I've been jamming these at work, after a shift, and I think they're really good. But it doesn't quite stand up to the other two.
And that's why blind tasting is so cool too, because like before I knew what it was, like I was obviously assessing it, tasting it, And now that I know what it is, my brain kind of switched to, oh, that's Old Nation Oktoberfest. So now I'm kind of tasting more things that I normally taste from it. Whereas before, without knowing it, I was tasting completely different things. So.
Yeah.
This one smells like malted milk.
This one's still around too. It's a really nice beer. I think that you'll be able to get it for the next week or two, and then it will be gone because it was a quick run. But they pushed it hard. And you can see on the you can see on the front of this the blue and white, which is the actual flag of Bavaria.
Bavaria,
Yeah.
yes.
Side note, you probably know Old Nation's most famous beer they do is M43. If you can get your hands on it, the strawberry M43 they do is the bomb.
It's rather nice, yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
good.
It's not around for very long.
No, usually only like a month, if that.
Yeah, we get like a case at a time, then we sell it out on a weekend, and then it's gone.
For those of you who've been watching on our podcast videos, you might have just seen me make a really cute little face and look at Cindy and then look back. This beer smells like Belgian waffles, and it's delightful.
Belgian waffles,
Absolutely
you
delightful.
say?
Yeah, that's what I smell out of it. Malty waffle.
Oh wow, I totally get that though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the power of suggestion, but yeah.
Could be, but it smells awesome. And I really like the flavors.
Well, I think you're speaking towards the malt,
Yeah.
for sure.
Because it's
That's
a
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's a
Belgian
sweeter
waffles are
nose
malted,
and a sweeter
yeah, but it's
taste.
very sweet too. It's sweet malt.
Yeah, definitely less hops than we've had in the previous three.
Mhm.
Which is why I like it so much. I think, too.
This has got a beautiful creaminess to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
This might be my favorite so far. I may go out on a limb. I could be wrong, but this might be our first German. I'll plant my flag and see if I'm wrong. But I do love this beer, whatever it is.
It's fantastic.
And before we find out what it is, I'm gonna give it a.
I'm not giving number scores right now.
See,
I'm
I am.
waiting.
I'm
this
doing
is my first 9. It's my first 9. I
Ah, 9.
thought I was gonna give this one a 9, but it gets downgraded. So.
All right, what is it?
Dauntless
Whoa.
Octoberfest Lager.
Yeah, I have never had this.
Yeah.
So
Well
this
done,
is
North
this is North Peak Brewing Company. This is Traverse City, Michigan, and I don't know if they've offered this in previous years. I would imagine they have. Last year we were still so busy reopening from the summer's lockdown with COVID. I didn't really go out and shop for Oktoberfest the way I usually would. So I'm not sure how long they've been doing this, but it's a new beer to me, and it's really, really nice.
What's it called? Dauntless?
Dauntless by North Peak.
Yeah, I think maybe
that's
this
super
one honestly might be a relatively newer style for them to brew because I don't think I maybe saw it last year, but
good.
Okay, so the hops are Tettnang and Hallertauer, which are both noble hops.
Yes.
So they're being very, very traditional right there. I don't know, obviously, the malt because they don't list it, but this just tastes really, really traditional to me, and I really, really like it.
Really creamy and super malty.
I was always operating under the impression that Bell's made the best Oktoberfest in Michigan, but it might not be true. At least not today. Lovely. Now, I never asked you this during this podcast, but how's our time looking, Mark?
our time?
Yeah.
We're sitting at 23 minutes and 41 seconds.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Doesn't take that long to blind a bunch of Oktoberfest. So out of the 4, I think right now I'm at North Peak and Bell's as my top 2, but only by a nudge. The Frankenmuth was really nice.
Yeah, I'm the same. Bell's I have the highest, and then North Peak second highest, I would say. I put North Peak and Frankenmuth both at 5s, but
This is really light.
This is a German beer.
Super light.
This has got
it just looks like a German
You said that
beer.
about 3 different beers, though.
Well, the first one I said it tasted very traditional,
Mm.
which makes sense because it was Frankenmuth. And last one just totally flipped me.
The smell of it, you can tell it's German beer. It has a slight, and I don't mean this in a bad way, skunkiness. Yeah,
Yeah.
dankness. Yeah.
Oh, that would more often than not read as hops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll say dank nose.
This is the most. It's the closest by far in style to like traditional lager.
Traditional lager.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I was just writing
Yeah.
right now. Traditional lager style.
But it still has a little bit of a creamy mouthfeel to it in the mid palate.
Should we talk about, for a second, just as a side note, the difference between a lager and an ale? Because some people might not know.
Tell them.
So
Tell the
difference-
people, Mark.
Yeah. So basically, The difference between a lager and an ale is basically the yeast that they're using. Lagers use, the way that I remember it is lager is low fermenting. So as it's fermenting,
Bottom
it's
fermented at
a lower,
lower
temperature.
temperature, yeah.
And then ales, top fermenting yeast in the fermenter and generally at a little bit higher of a temperature than they do.
right, which allows yeast to impact flavor more.
Right, exactly. Yep. So
Because it metabolizes quicker at higher.
science.
Early beer brewers.
I'm gonna
used
write
to
down what I think this one is. I'm gonna show you
use caves.
both.
Actually,
I don't want to say it out loud because Cindy laughs at me when I get them wrong.
I was
So I'm
between
writing
that
that down.
and the other main German one.
Believe it or not, based on having their lager, I'm not sure yet. I don't blame you for your guess. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm guessing anyway. Planting my flag.
I'm gonna put this
When I
on
was
the
wrong.
Ah, Weissbier.
Yeah.
That was
This
the
is
other
really
one
good
I was
too.
thinking.
It is German though.
I
Yeah.
knew it was either going to be that
Yeah.
one or Weinsfana.
This is fine.
Weißwein,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weissbier.
So this is
Or
the
festival beer.
oldest brewery in the world.
And I can't
Yeah.
spell that, so I'm
Says
just going to
on
put Vi, so I know which one it is.
WEI
Traditional
STEPHANER.
blue and white
Oh,
checker.
all right.
That's right. Yeah, no, this is a great one.
Weißwein is has been brewing since 1040, so nearly 1,000 years of brewing tradition.
And it is the purity of law brewing for this.
Yes, and their yeast strain has been around. I think it's still alive. I think the actual like
The
mother
mother
yeast
yeast.
is
Mother
still
yeast.
alive, and you can buy it.
Oh, no shit.
You can buy it as a
Nice.
starter yeast.
That makes
Yeah.
sense too, because that's so much breadier than the other beers that we've had so far.
And so far, we're halfway through, and that is the highest score I've
That's
given one
fantastic.
so far.
Yeah,
So
that's so good.
gave that one a solid 7.
Mm-hmm. I'll drink a large
Large
stein of that.
space.
You're gonna have to consolidate some of them.
Matter of fact, I'm going to change that
Some
to
of
an
the
8
swill.
because that's just a lovely beer. All right.
Okay.
It's not my best.
I have that freaking song stuck in my head that we were singing before the podcast.
99 left alone.
That we, yes.
That wasn't it, but we're gonna play that at the end.
Yeah.
Which we don't own the rights to, so nobody's saying.
We can't sing
Yeah.
anything. Yep.
Okay, so number 6.
Let's just say it has to do with turning around. All right.
Every now and then or always?
Yeah. Every now and
Jesus. Thank you, because that's now gonna run through my head the whole entire time.
then. You're welcome.
And what I like about all of these is like the nose on them is so bright and fruit forward and lively. Like none of these beers smell. I want to use the word flat, but not. It doesn't mean carbonation. It means that the aromas flatten out. Like,
No,
I don't have to
they-
search for anything.
They,
You know?
Yeah.
they're
They
very,
jump out of the glass.
Yeah, up front with the nose for sure. And this one specifically is very like, I get a very roasty quality to it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Super toasty bread.
Yeah, bread for sure.
Oh,
Yeast.
I like that. So my guess now is the one that you just had.
Yeah, I would have to agree. This definitely drinks like a German beer.
But it's I don't. This is sound really weird, and I don't mean this poorly at all. It has slightly like a gourdy smell to it, but like that you get in
Sweet
baby
potatoes or like
or sweet potato, like anything pureed. It smells like
Yeah.
pureed gourd.
This isn't the one I guessed last time.
Okay.
I think it's Einer.
That's a very.
Oh, that's probably a better guess actually. Now you said that.
What do you think it is?
I
Einer.
think it's
Eyinger?
Yeah.
AYINGER.
Yeah.
But I haven't had Einer Oktoberfest in like probably a decade. But I remember loving it when I had it.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be wrong though.
What is it?
He's right.
Hey,
Oh, good.
he got it.
Oktoberfest Mazen from Einge.
Yeah, this is a great beer.
Mm-hmm.
And the ABV is almost the highest. So what do we have here? It's a 6,
8.5% alcohol.
8.5?
No.
I didn't reach 6 yet.
5.8.
What did I
5.
say?
She transport.
Oh,
It's
I'm
fine.
sorry. Just like,
I would imagine that most of these are almost identical, right?
I was gonna say they got to be.
how many
around the
5.8s
same-
did you have? 3 of them. Yeah.
the majority of them are around 5.8 then.
I think I think I think almost all fest beers are probably right in between 5.5 and 6.5 or 6. Because there's almost no sense in making one any stronger than that because it kind of defeats the purpose, which is, being able to have a bit of it.
And again,
You can't drink an 8% beer out of a liter stein. You can, but
Well, yeah, for real.
you'd get really tired of it halfway through.
And I don't mean this in a bad way. Again, just as like assessing everything of it. I kind of get like a litter box kind of funkiness to it.
Well, I see. So to me, it's
You
not
are
like-
surrounded by cats at home, so that makes
You're
sense.
This is true, yeah.
That smell probably just
Maybe it's
lives in your nose.
just-
Yeah. And you do that thing where you kind of grab them and like smush them and make out with them a little bit.
Of course, yeah.
So you just
Yeah.
smell like cat.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cindy.
I need to. Cynthia, would you mind dumping this, please? Dumping my dumper.
That's
Thank you.
Oh, the things our friends do for us.
oh my goodness.
You'll get to meet Cindy at the
And
end.
she's doing this for free.
She's
too.
fantastic.
She may or may not get some cider out of this at the end.
We're
Most
definitely
likely,
going to
yeah.
get through a cider, yeah.
Okay. Okay, number 7, the penultimate Octoberfest, as it were. Color consistency has been pretty much all the way through. I think that Frankenmuth probably was the darkest. This is one of the
I would say
darkest.
this is almost the same as Frankenmuth was Cloudier though. This is another one that's
Yeah,
really clear.
Frankenmuth had, and I would almost dink Frankenmuth down a couple points
For the-
because it was cloudy.
Yeah, which
By-
is not typical.
Yeah, for me, if I'm judging fest beer, it should be very, very clear. I should be able to see right through it. And yes, beer gets judged on appearance too. It's part of scoring
A
beer.
grading scale.
Yeah.
And it's ranged everywhere from like amber, mid-amber to like a light, even a pale.
This one is just very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very, it just kind of, it rides the same line the whole way through. There's
One
not
note.
like spikes
It's one
and
note.
malt or
Yeah.
hops or anything like that.
Although Oktoberfest is a notoriously hard style to nail down in terms of what it should be, which is what makes drinking them so fun because they're all so different. There are also similarities that run throughout them.
Yeah.
In terms of hop profile, malt profile, alcohol. This is the least fest beer tasting beer that we've tasted
I would have to
all
agree.
day.
I feel really bad for
If you
Sarah.
just told me this was an amber lager, I would believe you.
Yeah.
If somebody put this out there as their like red ale, I would believe you.
Mhm.
Like, this doesn't taste like a fest beer to me.
Yeah. I would have to agree.
Watch it be hot bro.
Oh, God. Oh,
This
brewery
is-
back.
Breckenridge.
Yeah.
Out of Colorado.
Yeah. Brewery out of Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that it's a bad beer. It's just not
It's a
my
gr-
favorite.
It's a
so far.
really tasty beer that I have to score really low because it does not taste like Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I agree.
I was trying to find like creaminess. There's a little bit of malt, but not a lot to me. It's more drying than I thought a ice beer should be.
Yeah, you're right. It does dry up on the end,
Mhm.
which
And-
with a good fest beer, I feel like even if it's lighter, you still kind of get those lingering like bready.
Yeah,
Well, there's a lingering pleasantness to it. Like they're malty and lingering in a way that's not like
like a traditional.
a heavy
Yeah.
overdone stout
Sure,
where it's
yeah.
just like, oh God, I need to take drinks of water so I can get this taste out of my mouth so I can ready myself for the next sip or bite of food or
Right,
whatever I'm doing.
bitterness of the
Right.
stout is not what it's-
Yeah.
It also smells
Sorry,
like
Breckenridge, but I think you're on the bottom
of the scale.
of
Yeah,
my
so
list.
far that is my least favorite.
Okay, so we know what the last one is because we know what we bought. I know what the last
Oh, we're
one
doing
is.
8. I thought we were doing 10.
Huh? Oh no, we are
We're
doing
only on
10.
number
We
8.
are doing 10.
We're doing
That's what I thought.
Oh man. Okay, great. Let's keep going. I had in my head 8.
Cindy's like, oh.
Well, the
shit.
number fluctuated, right? So it was originally 8,
Yeah.
and then it was 12, and then
Yeah.
I couldn't find Becker, so it was 11, and then
I'm excited.
we got one. Yeah. Well, I'm just really excited now.
Yeah, this is probably
Look out.
probably one of your favorite episodes we've done. Yeah, because I know you love Oktoberfest. I mean,
Yeah.
I do as well.
Me?
We all
Yeah, I
do.
love
I
Oktoberfest.
also love it. So not to keep harshing on that last one, it smelled like hot dogs to me.
Oh.
Like hot dogs, you say?
Yeah.
A fine schnitzel? A Wiener schnitzel?
So traditional.
Watch our Oktoberfest episode where Courtney really harshes on Breckenridge. And Breckenridge is from Colorado, so.
I love Colorado too. I'm so sorry.
Oh, man.
They're just like, it's cool, man.
Festival foods. The ones you might expect: pretzels, sausages, right? Roasted chicken. I think it was
Roasted
It
chicken.
was in 1825 or something or so that they had the first roasted chicken stand, and we're from Michigan, so Zenders, we know,
Yes.
Mhm.
is huge for their
course.
roasted chicken. A lot of people are like, "Why the heck is it this? It's just Midwestern, right?" No, it's super German.
I
Smoked
love
fish, the
the
other
nose
thing.
on this because this is
Yeah.
it's clean, but
Yeah.
you still get depth to it as well.
Wait till you taste
Oh,
the way this is hoppy, because this is one of the hoppier offerings, but it's just
Oh,
it's
yeah.
bright
It's
and
very,
lively
yeah.
and like it's
Yeah.
not bitter per se,
Yeah, I love
and that you don't get like that kind of illusion of like hoppy tannins,
Yeah.
because you don't like hoppy beer.
No,
You
I
also
don't.
don't like tannic
But I
wine.
like a Vienna lager, which has hoppiness, but not like a
Yeah.
super grassy hop at all.
Yeah.
It's just like a really crisp hop.
Yeah, this is very high marks.
This is-
Okay,
yeah.
so back
It's
to the
very
food
creamy.
though.
Yeah.
Sauerbraten,
So
fest beer versus Christmas. When's most traditional? Because
For
Sauerbraten to
Sauerbraten?
me seems like a Christmas.
It's
food.
more of a winter food to me
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just a German traditional dish, but it's super hearty. So I think like the way that we would have stews generally in cold weather.
I
you
suggested
could eat
making it
stew
this
in-
Christmas to
in
my
summer.
wife, and she's like, okay, describe to me what that is. And as the more I talked, she was like,
She said no.
she doesn't want it.
I thought she'd get down.
I think she.
It's completely in wine.
I think the idea. Yeah, I know. The idea of the protein sounds good, but like
Yeah.
the starch, like
Oh, okay, the
all the
additional-
traditional.
Yeah, like
accoutrement.
Kartoffeln,
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to eat spatzel, and I hate potato pancakes, and
Schnitzel,
like
yeah.
like
Who
Yeah.
hates potato pancakes?
my wife doesn't like them.
Dear Lord.
Maybe it's because she doesn't know where to put them.
That's fair.
In
You
her
know,
mouth.
like, and it's or they're heavy
In
or
her
they don't
mouth.
have enough for like.
Yeah, potato pancakes too. It's a lot about like the accoutrement with the what you're having.
Right, like
with
I
it.
really like potato
Yeah.
pancakes, but
It's
that's
not
because I
pretty
decided a long
dry.
time ago that I just really like eating them.
Yeah.
It's not because I love how much they taste.
Right. Yeah.
I think they're good, but
You
you know,
just
you
like
gotta
the
pile
starch.
stuff on them and like, you know, yeah, I just like the like
I've always liked-
that particular delivery device for starch is
Sure.
really agreeable
Sure. Yeah.
to me.
I've always liked Sauerbraten, but Jäger Schnitzel is the best. Jäger is that deep, rich, mushroomy sauce that you put over Schnitzel.
Oh yeah. So very high marks for this.
Yeah, this is my
has got
highest one so far.
good balance between the malt and the hops. I think
Mhm.
everything is really nicely in tune.
Balance
I
is-
don't know if I like it as much as the Einger, which I think is my top, but this is very, very good.
What is it?
The reveal.
Rochester Mills.
Beer
Well
Company,
done.
Oktoberfest celebration lager, German style Marzen.
Local boys
Yep.
They did great. Yeah.
and girls. You know.
Yeah. This is another one
Super creamy.
that I haven't tasted in probably 8 years.
Yeah.
Rochester Mills, though, in my experience, whether I like the beer or I don't, they have never made anything that I've truly disliked. And what I get from most of their beer is very good malt presence.
Yeah.
They've always done malty beer really, really well.
Yeah. And I feel like also they're
Always
pretty
like
good
them,
about
like
staying true to style too, as far as their beers are concerned, at least in my opinion. I usually go there maybe like once a year because it is relatively close to where we are.
Yeah, especially, well, yeah, because you and I live in Grand Lake, so it's even
Yeah.
closer.
Yeah. I like to make a little trip out there. They have a beautiful establishment, basically. Their brewery's fantastic.
What part of is it in Rochester?
It's kind of, I mean, I would say it's kind of near to Rochester, like downtown proper, yeah.
I don't know.
Rochester has a very lovely downtown.
That would smell super happy.
So props to you, Rochester Mills, because
Mhm.
like I said, highest rating I have so far.
It's almost
Very clear.
Yeah. Yeah, the lager.
And extremely traditional smelling.
Mhm. It's got that dankness again, Miller.
Yes, the dankness, the diggity dankness. Thank you, Cynthia. I promise you, Cindy is more than just arms. You'll see her face at the end.
She's not made of arms.
Super cool. She did.
Yeah, this is probably another German one too, would be my bet.
This
What's the
does
banana thing?
this does a lot of what the Weihenstephaner did for me, but I like this one a little bit more.
I agree. It's just like refreshing.
Yeah. The finish is super clean, but not simple, not uncomplex. You get hop, you get lots of like kind of sweet, very, very comforting malt.
And again, floral and like vegetal hops.
Yeah, this is noble
Definitely
hops all the way
floral.
through.
Yeah,
Probably the same two that we saw before at Tettnanger.
I would have to guess. So,
Hallertau.
yeah. And for this one, I'm gonna say I kind of really like it. Yeah.
Is this from the biggest brewery in? Yeah.
Hofbrau. Octoberfest beer.
Yep.
Hofbrau is indeed the largest, the largest beer hall in all of Germany.
Yeah, it's supposed to be monstrous.
Yeah, I think it holds over, like, I don't know. In total, I think they can hold over 3,000 people, including their beer garden.
Hofbrau is absolutely what I think of when I think of
Traditional.
somebody bringing out an armful of giant beer steins.
Yeah.
And just,
Or several.
yeah, exactly
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean. In one hand, just plopping them down. When I was in,
They have the largest beer tent during Octoberfest as well.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
When I was in Prague years ago, we would go to a Czech beer hall, and they would have. I mean, we went to like a place that just served to say like Stauerbrannen.
Sure.
And you would just get, it was light and dark, like Pilsner and
Yeah.
dark lager. And as I remember it, literally they put a piece of paper down and like you would order light or dark and they would just make check marks.
Yeah.
And then that's how they kept track of your bill. Because you were literally only drinking one of two things.
Yeah.
And they'd come back around and be like,
It's a good way to go
dark,
about
yeah.
it.
It's like, okay,
Even
hash.
during Oktoberfest, you go to the tent of the beer, like the brewery you want to drink from,
Yeah.
and you just drink that beer the entire time. They might have one or two versions. It's usually the one version.
Yeah.
And they employ thousands of people, most of them students, lots of times from other countries. So it's like language students will do it a lot.
Mhm.
They get 60 cents per beer plus tip. So at the end of that 2-week period, they can make like over 5,000 euro just serving beers for like 12 hours a day.
It's amazing.
I mean, a lot.
And running
tons
food
of,
probably.
yeah.
And running
yeah.
food,
And
and
you
you know,
see
you got
them,
to deal
and
with
they
drunk
have
people.
literally like
but
10 beers in each hand.
yeah.
Just like
It's economizing as much space
Yeah.
that you can. So each beer you sell, you get money. So you got to just keep on selling what you got.
I haven't had a Hofbrau in so long. It's fantastic.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The last.
Because again, I have not cleaned my glass.
the phone is ringing, but we're not open.
So
We're just
for
gonna
those,
roll with it.
for those who are watching this or listening to it, we always move the bar phone to the office during the podcast, and we completely forgot.
We forgot this time. So
But if they want a reservation, they'll call back. I'm sure of it.
Can I just read your notes for a second? What does this say right here?
Quaffable.
Quaffable.
Yeah,
waffable.
quaffable.
Not a quaffle for those who know the Harry Potter fame.
Well, no, that would be. Yeah, I don't even think they call it a quaffle at Durmstrang, which is the German wizard school.
I thought it was Bulgarian.
Is it Bulgarian?
Oh, you would be my resident Harry Potter nerd.
What
Okay.
precisely does
Oh.
quaffable even mean?
Easy to drink.
I love that.
Why
Something
do I
that's
think
quaffable is
quaffing-
easy to drink.
Why do I think quaffing is basically like this, like boxing someone by their ears?
I don't know.
All right.
I always think of like quaffing as like with your hair. Isn't that a thing too?
Oh yeah, hair quaff.
That's
yeah.
COIFFE though.
Oh, that's
This is
true, yeah.
QUAFF. And
English
French
lessons.
and
So I
French
like it.
versus German.
Yeah.
Or no, I don't know I don't know where
Quaff is
quaffable.
probably French.
They're both
like the hair
I don't
thing.
know.
yeah, but QUAFF. I'm not sure where the
Yeah.
etymology of that word comes from, but
Anyhow,
anyhow,
the last one.
here's number 10. This is what happens after we've sampled 9 Oktoberfest.
Another lovely nose, very malty.
Yeah, I like this one. I like this one a lot.
It's interesting because it's a lot sweeter on the finish, and it's so funny when you're tasting stuff in order like this, where the alcohol content is very, very minimal in terms of how it changes beer to beer. This, you can start to feel the alcohol heat
Yeah,
come in just a little bit.
I was thinking that as well, and you also get the flavor of it too, a little bit.
It's
of
so
of
crazy. Like you're on this progression from what is Frankenmuth? 5, 5.5. Come on, Frankenmuth, you have to print it. 5.27. And the Hofbrau right before it is not on here. It's got to be on here. 6.3. Thank you. So we've gone up 1%, and this last one is probably like 6.4, 6.5, but you can taste it.
Yeah, you certainly can, and I'm very torn about how I feel about
Which
it.
may be why I want to kind of dink it a little bit.
Yeah,
because
yeah, that's.
it shouldn't show like that at the end.
Because you could definitely get a slight
I kind of like that though.
Oh yeah,
ethanol
Yeah.
kind
because
I
it's
like
sweet.
my gravity beers. It's
Yeah.
sweet and malty, and really, my personal choice for any Oktoberfest style beer is more malty than not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but in this one you get the malt, but that
You do still get
That
like a little
alcohol
crispness at the
is-
end from the alcohol.
it's a thing that we haven't tasted in any of the other ones. Is
True.
that slight alcohol kick to it.
This is a nice beer. This
I'm
is
into
doing a lot of what Bell's did for me, but not quite as well.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm gonna start making we want to do top 3.
I mean, do we want to do top 3 or do we want to do the entire gamut? What do you think?
No, I think we each give our top.
Each give our top 3.
or
Okay, we can do
3.
that.
Yeah,
Do you want to know what this last one was?
Yes, please.
Great Lakes Brewing.
I knew what it was because I
Great
bought it and it was
Lakes.
the last one left. Cleveland, Ohio. And this is this is interesting because I do like this beer. I didn't like it as much compared to some of the other ones,
That's fair.
but it's funny because the German lager is something that Great Lakes does well, and this is not their best one.
Not their best shot. No.
Great Lakes is one of the few breweries in North America to offer a Dortmunder style lager, and
Which is
their
fantastic.
Dortmunder Gold is unbelievably good, which is a year-round beer for them too. So
All right, let's all look at our numbers and see what we got
What was
here.
number 8 again?
number 8 was
Hofbrau.
Rochester Mills.
Oh, wait, yeah, sorry. 8
Oh,
was
yeah,
Rochester
yeah,
Mills,
9 was, yeah.
9 was Hofbrau. Yeah, that's...
Actually, I'm kind of having to pick between a few for my top 3.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at my numbers, I definitely have my top 3, I think. Just lay them up here real quick.
Just a moment.
Just a moment.
Wow, it was a great lineup. I thought there would be I thought it would be more difficult to decide.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did
I
as
thought
well.
some would stand
But I
out
think
greatly,
there's-
but
I mean, I personally have 3 standouts, like I said, I think.
I definitely am kind of choosing between about 6. So,
I am too. I've
narrowed it down, but
got
not that
kind
much.
of tiers, right? So I've got my 3,
Yeah.
and then right after that are a bunch that I really really like.
Yeah.
That kind of would all be in the same tier, and then unfortunately I've got kind of Breckenridge, Great Lakes, and Old Nation down at the bottom.
And that's the thing, and I've
yeah.
changed mine up based on like what I personally would choose might not be what I'm choosing for my top 3 because I'm trying to get for those that are more reminiscent of the traditional style.
Sure. Yeah.
You know? And one technically is not, but it still did really good to me. So.
I would say my list is just purely by flavor and how I enjoyed that.
Mhm.
So. Are we ready? Are you ready, Blooms? Ladies
I'm
first
ready.
for your top 3.
Okay, so I'm going.
Oh,
top
she's wearing the
3
dirtle.
The dirtle.
Dirndl?
Dirndl.
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 I stand corrected.
Based on traditional style mainly, I'm going to choose my first one as Eine, I think it is pronounced Eine or Eine, and then Hofbrau, of
As
course.
we would say Einer.
Einer.
I say it again.
Eine.
Einer. Okay.
Einer.
If you can't do the traditional pronunciation, don't attempt to pronounce it that way.
I am not going to.
One quick trick for pronunciation. If you see 2 vowels next to each other, for instance, IE, pronounce that E. So beer is spelled B-I-E-R and it's pronounced beer because it's the E. Yeah. All right. That was my number 1. My number 2 is Hofbrau.
You
And my
read
number
that
3, weirdly, is North Peak. I actually thought North Peak did a better traditional style than some
Really?
of the other German.
I
ones.
have that
Really like
exact
that.
same 3, and I have the same
What?
number 1. Einer
You just
is my number 1. I'm stunned by how good I think North Peak is, so I put that number 2, and I have
You
Hofbrau
guys
3.
both have the same top 3.
We have the same top
Yeah,
3.
we just
Wow.
slightly different order.
My honorable mention is Bell's and Verhensfan.
My honorable
Nice.
mentions would be Bells and Rochester.
Okay.
Yeah.
They did a good job too.
So from my perspective, like I said, just going purely on flavor, my number 1 was Rochester Mills,
Mhm.
actually. And then I just love the maltiness of it and the body
It's
of it.
really malty.
And then the other 2 are German beers. So 2, I put Hofbrau. I really like the it was just, like I said, refreshing.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
and I think the hop quality to it was just beautifully done. And then 3 is the Weizenfahne.
So,
yeah, mine's was good too.
interestingly enough,
It's
we
just pretty
all
light.
put a German beer. We all put 2 German beers in our top 3.
Yeah.
So, as beer lovers, we enjoyed a great deal of the other representations of Fest beer, but we still kind of reverted back to
That original, like that
enjoying
traditional style.
German Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
And if we can kind of come out of this with anything, I mean, way to go, North Peak. Great job. I love this beer. I'm going to go out and get a 6-pack today.
I'm gonna say I would also drink a 6-pack of Frankenmuth and Bell's as well. They just were a little sweeter probably than the traditional style would have been.
Yeah. I dinged Frankenmuth mostly on appearance.
That's true. It was.
But I would totally. I mean, I would easily dial up a stein of that if I was there, and I would really, really, really enjoy it. And there wasn't a single beer here that I thought was bad. Everything was really good.
Yeah.
There were some that I just kind of failed to climb the heights that the other ones did. But
yeah. And again, too, you can assess these, whether a lot of different ways, whether it's flavor profile wise, whether it's more traditional to the style.
Mhm.
There's a lot of different ways you can look at it, but yeah, not a bad beer in the lot.
I tend to do Oktoberfest both with and without food. So I also would kind of, I liked some of these drier, more refreshing styles because most likely I would be consuming them with like a heavier plate.
Salty,
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah. And to that end, the German ones are really great because they will knife through that salt
Cut it.
so well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on our journey through 10 North American and traditional German Oktoberfests.
Yeah. And thank you to Cindy.
Yeah,
Come on
where's
over.
Cindy?
Let the people see you. This is the lovely
Cindy.
Cynthia.
Who also manages the local brewery in Fenton, Fenton Winery and Brewery.
Yeah.
So she knows her way around some beer, and she talks about beer quite a bit. So thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely go and check them out. They have great pizza. Thank you so much. Yeah.
And Prost.
Prost.
Yeah. Join us next time.
Wir trinken mit us.
Just like that.
Just like that. Yeah.
Auf Wiedersehen.
That was fun.
Yeah, look at what this
And
pen
this
did
is
to
where
my
you kinda
hand.
Oh my God. Go wipe it off.
Show it to the camera. Because we're still recording, so Jonathan can get some extra shit. Oh, I'm so glad we only did 10 because if we did 12, I would be.
Long was it as
Shit drunk.
I sipped lager and kept up on my correspondence.
I saved them for you.
Oh, good. There's a lot more beer over there.
And that's what